Why is it that only one type of person actually survives a narcissist? And it is never the person you expect. The strong often break apart trying to resist them. Those with perfect boundaries usually leave before the deeper lesson begins. Jung taught us that the unconscious decides long before the mind even understands. A narcissist does not attach randomly. They zero in on a very specific nervous system, a particular history of endurance that fits their pathology, like a key sliding into a lock. But here's the part most people never mention. The survivor isn't necessarily the most confident or the most self-aware. The survivor is the one with the rare ability to transform the narcissist's poison into their own strength. This story shows why you were chosen, not as a victim, but as someone stepping into a painful awakening. Stay until the end, because the very trait that drew them in is the same weapon that will eventually break them. You were chosen by the narcissist because your early life trained you to tolerate what most would instantly reject. Narcissists don't pick partners out of love or true connection. They choose based on function. They are hunting for a very specific role. Whether scanning a room or scrolling through a dating app, they are not searching for the prettiest person or the wealthiest. They are looking for the person with the highest tolerance for emotional labor. They are looking for you. But why you? What did you show that sent them the signal? You showed subtle, unconscious signals of someone carrying old, unhealed wounds. Particularly, you displayed the wounds of the caretaker. Carl Jung explained that the unconscious projects itself through our actions. You may think you're simply being kind, attentive, or a good listener. But to a narcissist, your behavior signals something deeper. It signals that you were trained to prioritize others' needs over your own reality. This usually starts in childhood. If you grew up around emotionally immature, unstable, or unavailable adults, you had to adjust. You learned that to be safe, you had to be useful. You learned to read the room, to watch the faces of your parents for anger or sadness, and adjust your behavior to manage their moods. If they were angry, you got quiet. If they were sad, you became the therapist. This is a survival mechanism called fawning. It's the ability to suppress your own fight or flight response and instead become pleasing and helpful to the threat. You learned that the only way to survive chaos was to absorb it and neutralize it. Picture a child watching their mother slam drawers in the kitchen. Their sibling runs away, but this child steps toward her, offering help, telling jokes, trying to lighten the mood. At 8 years old, they already knew that calming someone else was the only path to safety. Decades later, the narcissist instantly recognizes that same instinct in you. This wound often shows up later in life, in moments that seem normal. You're on a first date. The waiter makes a mistake. Your date makes a sharp, slightly rude comment. Someone without trauma history would feel uncomfortable. They might see it as a warning sign, even decide there won't be a second date. They judge it as unacceptable. But you don't judge. You try to understand. You start making excuses for them. Maybe they had a stressful day. Maybe they're just particular about their food. You think, I should help them feel better. You smile. You change the topic. You take responsibility for their mood. The narcissist watches this and immediately knows they've found their target. You didn't hold them accountable. You tried to fix it. They see someone willing to earn approval even when undeserved. They see a partner used to walking on eggshells. This is why they chose you. They need a container. Narcissists carry a heavy load of internal shame and chaos, but refuse to feel it. They need someone to feel it for them. They need someone to worry when they are gone, to cry when they are cold, to try to solve their problems. They need you to hold their shadow. You were chosen because you are built for endurance. You can tolerate discomfort like few others. You can go weeks without having your needs met and still remain. You can be insulted and still try to communicate. You can be ignored and still reach out. To a narcissist, this isn't love, it's convenience. But what they don't realize is that the same wound that made you easy to use is what later makes you unbreakable. Your endurance wasn't weakness, it was armor disguised as loyalty. They chose you because of your wound, but you survived them because of your strength. Here's the part that hurts but needs to be seen. Your empathy, kindness, and patience were weaponized. These are beautiful traits, but without boundaries, they are dangerous. The narcissist didn't fall for your soul. They fell for your trauma response. They saw someone who would never leave because that person believes love means enduring pain. Recognizing this is the first step in breaking the cycle. This isn't a badge of honor. It's a sign you're replaying a wound that started long before them. You're trying to save them in the way you wished you could have saved your parents. You're trying to be good enough to finally feel loved. The narcissist relies on you staying unaware. They want you to think you're simply nice, but you're not just nice. You were trained to put others first, even when it hurts. And training can be undone. That's why only one type survives. Not the strongest, but the one conditioned to carry what would have broken anyone else. If you felt something stir inside while hearing this, some old truth rising, subscribe now. Join a community built on insight, awareness, and real transformation. In the next part, you'll see another reason survivors stay. The hidden biological pull that makes danger feel strangely familiar. You stayed with a narcissist because your nervous system mistook their chaos for something familiar, something that felt like home. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of narcissistic abuse. You don't stay because you're stupid. You don't stay because you enjoy pain. You stay because your nervous system recognizes the pattern, and to it, pain feels familiar. People often describe the start of a narcissistic relationship as magical, intense, or fated. You may have said, I felt a spark I've never felt, or it felt like we'd known each other forever. You interpret that as soul connection, but it's not. It's nervous system recognition. Carl Jung spoke of the imago, the internal template we carry of love we received as children. If your early experiences were chaotic, inconsistent, or conditional, your brain coded chaos as love. You learned love is something to fight for. It comes with anxiety. Connection is always followed by withdrawal. So, when you meet a narcissist and they begin love bombing, then subtly pull away, your body reacts. It recognizes the pattern. It says, I know this game. I know how to play. The anxiety, the butterflies, the nervousness, it's fear, but you've mistaken fear for love. You run toward it instead of away. It starts quietly, almost imperceptibly. They text every morning for 3 weeks, send songs, tell you you're amazing. You feel euphoric. Dopamine floods your brain. Then suddenly, one day, they don't text. You wait, you message. They reply hours later with one word. A secure person would see this as rude, inconsistent, a reason to lose interest. But you feel activated, your heart races, you check your phone constantly, you reread old messages, you try to be funnier, lighter, more appealing to win them back. The withdrawal triggers a survival drive. You chase the dopamine, the relief of their return. The narcissist knows this instinctively. They operate on intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive form of conditioning in behavioral science. It works the same way as the principle that makes gambling addictive. If a slot machine paid out every single time you pulled the lever, you would quickly lose interest. If it never gave you anything, you would walk away. But if it gives you a reward only sometimes, unpredictably, you end up sitting there until you lose everything. The narcissist functions like that slot machine. They give you moments of overwhelming love and attention, the win, followed by stretches of coldness, neglect, or abuse, the loss. You stay because you are constantly waiting for that next reward. You convince yourself that the kind version of them is the real person, and the cruel version is just a mistake. You tell yourself that if you are patient enough, the person you first met will return. Jung called this the compulsion to repeat. It is an unconscious pull to go back to the source of your earliest trauma, as if by revisiting it, you might fix it. You are projecting the needs of your childhood onto the narcissist. You are hoping that this time, the emotionally unavailable person will finally become available. This time, maybe you will be enough to make them stay. You are not simply in a relationship with someone else. You are in a relationship with your own past. This is why leaving feels impossible, even when you see the lies clearly. Your logical mind knows the truth, yet your emotional mind is stuck in the loop. You are chemically addicted to the rhythm of stress and relief. The calm of a healthy relationship feels dull because it lacks that chemical spike. You mistake the absence of drama for a lack of connection. This insight is painful, but it is necessary. You must stop calling it passion and start recognizing it as dysregulation. You need to accept that the intense pull you feel is not fate. It is a glitch in your survival wiring. You are trying to draw water from a stone because you were taught that stones are the only place water comes from. The narcissist is not your soulmate. They are a mirror reflecting the parts of you that remain unhealed. They fit neatly into the gaps left by your childhood wounds, but they do not fill them. They expand them. The moment you accept that this sense of familiarity is actually a warning, you begin to break free from the spell. You start to notice that the anxiety inside you is your body screaming to leave, not pleading to stay. You recognize that you have been surviving on hope, the hope that by enduring suffering in the present, you might rewrite the past. If you have ever felt your body cling to someone who was harming you, type one word below: recognized. That is the moment your nervous system stops confusing fear with love. In the next section, you will see what happens when this confusion ends and how that awakening begins to dismantle their control. Awakening starts the moment your survival instinct stops protecting the narcissist and starts protecting you. That flip changes everything in the relationship. Many people believe the narcissist's goal is to destroy you. And while they certainly drain you, the truth is that they need you to survive. They don't want to break you so completely that you cannot function, because then you would be useless to them. They want you in a state of suspended animation, capable enough to serve them but too weak to leave. The narcissist makes a critical miscalculation. They underestimate your resilience. They assume that because you tolerated their abuse for years, you always will. They don't realize that the type of person who survives a narcissist eventually has a psychological shift. There is a point where the survival mechanism changes gears. That is the awakening. Sometimes it happens in the smallest, quietest moment. You are driving home after another argument and feel a deep, bone-deep exhaustion. No tears, no panic, just a quiet truth rising inside. I cannot do this anymore. Awakening rarely feels dramatic. It feels undeniable. It usually doesn't happen in the heat of a fight. It happens in silence. It happens when you are driving home from work and the exhaustion sinks so deep it feels like it is in your marrow. It happens when you watch them sleep, and instead of love or fear, you feel nothing. You look at the person who has controlled your emotions for years, and suddenly they seem small, ordinary. Carl Jung called individuation the process of becoming who you really are. He said it often requires the disintegration of the false self. The relationship with the narcissist forces this breakdown. You have tried everything. You have tried being the perfect partner. You have tried being the therapist. You have tried being the caretaker, and yet nothing worked. You reach a point of ego death. The part of you that needed their approval to feel safe simply dies. You understand that no matter what you do, they will never truly see you. You recognize that their promises of change are just words used to buy more time. And in that recognition, your fear of losing them disappears. You are replaced by a powerful realization. I am losing myself, and that is the only loss I cannot accept. This shift shows itself in moments like this. It's a Friday night. They start another argument, accusing you of being selfish because you want to visit your family. In the past, you would have engaged. You would have cried. You would have defended yourself. You might have canceled your plans to prove your love. But this time, something is different. You hear their words, but they do not land. You see their anger, but it doesn't scare you. You notice the manipulation. They want to make you feel guilty, so you stay home and attend to them. You see the mechanics, like looking at the gears of a clock. Because you see it, you don't react. You simply say, I understand you feel that way, and continue packing your bag. This is when you move from prey to observer. The narcissist feeds on your emotional reactions. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining yourself, you are telling them you have disconnected, you have left the game. This awakening may come with deep sadness or flatness. Do not fear this. Jung said depression often forces a descent into the unconscious. It is your psyche saying, the old way won't work anymore. It pulls energy back from the outside world, from the narcissist, and returns it to you. You are not broken. You are exhausted from keeping a lie alive, from trying to make a sick person whole, from ignoring your own instincts day after day. When you finally say, I cannot live like this anymore, you are not admitting defeat. You are claiming sovereignty. You are saying the cost of this relationship is higher than its value. You see that you have always been alone in this relationship, and instead of being terrified, you feel free. If you are already alone, there is nothing to lose by leaving. Survivors endure because they realize the relationship is not a lifeline, it is an anchor. And the strength that kept you holding the anchor is the same strength that will cut it. In the next part, we will explore the next turning point, what your awakening does inside the narcissist and why it shakes them to the core. Your shift destabilizes them because it removes the one thing their entire world depends on, your emotional energy. When you move from participant to observer, you disrupt the foundation of the relationship. Their collapse starts with one truth. They never needed your love. They needed your energy. They don't need your love as healthy people do. They need your energy. This narcissistic supply comes in two forms, both vital, positive supply, which is your admiration, your praise, your affection, and negative supply, which is your anger, your tears, your frustration. If they can make you smile, they feel powerful. But if they can make you cry or scream, they feel even more powerful. Your strong emotional reactions prove to them that they exist, that they matter, and that they can control you. When you awaken, you stop reacting. You enter neutrality. You stop explaining yourself because they are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop defending yourself because their accusations are made up. You stop fighting for the relationship because there is no real relationship to fight for. You simply exist, calm and unbothered. This neutrality devastates the narcissist. It undermines their ability to regulate their internal tension. Jung described psychic energy or libido as a vital force that flows between people. When you take your attention away, you physically withdraw your energy from their system. They feel it immediately. They feel the space where your devotion once was.